My name's Mark Callahan, Mr. Saltwater Tank. This is Mr. Saltwater Tank TV. And today I'm going to be talking to you about dialing in or fine-tuning your protein skimmer. Because if you remember a couple episodes ago, I set up my new SWC cone skimmer here. And I love this thing. It's running great. It's pulling out some good skimmate. It's efficient. It's consistent. I love it. But it's time to fine-tune it and really dial it in so that it's running at its maximum efficiency. So let's talk first about how I know that my skimmer needs to be fine-tuned. Well, first, if you look at the color of the skimmate here in the cup, this is the stuff that your skimmer has pulled out of your tank. It's really fish poop, fish pee, nasty stuff. You can see it's a light green, maybe light brown, kind of looks like iced tea. This is a little light for my tasting. What I'm looking for is a couple solid pieces of gunk that my skimmer's pulled out, and I'm not seeing a lot. You can see I don't see any here in the skimmate. I might see a couple up here in the bubbles. I certainly see some in the neck of the skimmer, but I like to see them out in the collection cup. So that's one way that I know that I need to fine-tune my protein skimmer. The second way is I'm going to be looking at the size of the air bubbles here in the neck of the skimmer. We're going to want to make those bubbles a little smaller so that I can really grab that fine junk that's in my tank. So the first thing I'm going to check when I'm going to fine-tune my skimmer is how deep is it sitting in the water in my sump. Every manufacturer has their own guidelines for how deep their skimmer should be sitting in the water. And for this skimmer, it's recommended to run anywhere between 6 inches to 9 inches. So we're just going to check to see how deep it's running. And then if we need to make an adjustment, we're going to do that. And measuring it is simple as using a tape measure, if you have one around the house, or ruler, whatever you have to measure things, and just see how deep it's sitting in your sump. So I'm going to go from the bottom of the skimmer right to where the water line is. And it looks like on my tank, the skimmer's sitting about 9.5 inches of water. So it's a little deep. So my skimmer's sitting in a little too deep in the water, which is probably one of the reasons I'm getting this skimmate that's not quite the color I want. So how are we going to raise it up? Well, one thing you can do is you can build your own skimmer stain out of acrylic. This is nice. To me, it takes too much time. I'm not much of a do-it-yourself guy. I'd rather have some easier fixes. And acrylic can make a big mess. So here's some quick ways that you can raise your skimmer. First one is pick up some egg crate. You can get this at Home Depot or Lowe's. It's probably in the lighting section because this is used underneath fluorescent lights to diffuse the light. And it'll raise it up about quarter to maybe half an inch. You could stack them on top of one another if you need to get a little more height. This stuff's easily cut, easily shaped to whatever size you need to fit under your skimmer. So this is one way to do it. Now if you need to raise your skimmer up a little higher, maybe it's in 10 inches of water and it needs to be in 8 inches of water, what you can do is you can actually use styrofoam. This is the top of a shipping container I got when I ordered some fish online. And you can see it's going to raise that skimmer up probably a good inch. And if I stacked 2 of these pieces on top of one another, it'd raise it a good 2 inches or more. Now keep in mind that styrofoam floats. So if you put too much styrofoam under your skimmer, it's going to float your skimmer up and can cause it to fall over. So you might have to trim this stuff down. All right, let's talk about making some smaller air bubbles in my skimmer. As I said earlier, these are a little large for my tasting. I'm not getting those solid particles out that I like to see in my skimmate. So what we're actually going to do is turn down the air going into my skimmer just a little bit. Now not every skimmer has this capability, but this SWC cone does, so I'm going to show you how you're going to do that. And you can see it's got a little knob here on my air intake, and all you got to do is just turn it a little bit to the minus side, so we're going to close it down just a little bit. And again, you're going to want to do just hairline adjustments, not a lot. You don't want to turn it a half turn and see what you get. You're going to go little small adjustments at a time, leave it for a couple days, and then see what you get. Taking care of your protein skimmer is one of the most important things you can do to keep your tank running happily and running healthy. So that's how you fine-tune a protein skimmer. Remember, your protein skimmer is your tank's best friend, and you want to keep your protein skimmer happy so that your tank's happy. Until next time, I'm Mark Callahan, Mr. Saltwater Tank, and this is Mr. Saltwater Tank TV.